Wait a minute, Paul. Are you about to say what I think you're about to say? Are you about to say who the biggest winner in Houston sports was in 2023, 4 days into 2024? Why, you bet your bottom dollar I'm about to. Because yesterday was the cherry on top of his year. We mentioned it yesterday. I mean, it's a pretty rough start to 2023 for Nick Caserio. He's got to fire Lovie Smith, who just won the last game of the season, that made sure the Texans did not have the first overall pick. But after yesterday, and we saw all those Pro Bowl alternates, Will Anderson Jr., Nick Caserio draft pick. Derek Stingley Jr., Nick Caserio draft pick. CJ Stroud, Nick Caserio draft pick. Nico Collins, Nick Caserio draft pick. And then consider some of the other guys that have been brought into the building this year. Shaq Mason, who's been doing very well since week 13. Saw some interesting advanced statistics about him. Since week 13, I don't think he's allowed a pressure. Now he's a guard, so maybe you're not expecting that to happen so much. Hey, is it Devin Singletary who's the leading running back for the Houston Texans right now? After a year where Caserio found Dameon Pierce in the middle of the draft? Change your offense? Nick Caserio can find a running back that suits you. What else has Nick Caserio done over the course of the past calendar year? Remember when Steven Nelson called him a clown freak? And there was a possibility that maybe Steven Nelson and the Texans were going to part ways. Guess who's still here? Nelson Island. Can you point out one thing outside of a Will Anderson trade that is aging very well that Caserio's done over the course of the last year that really bothers you? And I know there's some Nick Caserio haters out there, and part of it has to do with just the Patriots Association. And on that front, I do get it. But from the beginning of last year to where we are at now, I don't think any Houston sports figure has done more to change people's perception of him successfully, might I add, because, of course, there's always going to be people that are trying to change your perception of them. I don't think anyone's done more than Caserio has. I suppose you could make an argument that Rafael Stone, in a way, has. But do you look at the Rockets as a Rafael Stone operation still, or do you look at it as an Ime Udoka operation? I look at it as an Ime Udoka operation. I think the Kevin Porter Jr. stuff, and forget the off-the-court stuff if you can. It does seem like there was a lot of effort made to make Kevin Porter Jr. the Rafael Stone edition of James Harden, and obviously with Jalen Green, things aren't going great right now. Anybody else who's improved their stock significantly in 2023 in Houston sports? Really, to me, it's got to be Caserio.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy thinking. I mean, actually, it's not crazy at all. It's the most predictable thing that there's no easy answer for the Astros. And I was like, oh, wait, because they won the World Series in 2022 and then didn't win the World Series in 2023. So everyone, it feels like you feel worse about everyone on the Astros.
Yeah, I mean, in the other way, you can make the argument of somebody who we talked about just a bit ago. No, Jeremy Pena, the other way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Pena went from being like, oh, my God, he's going to be an incredible shortstop to, oh, wait, now he might just be a very replaceable shortstop.
I mean, everyone on the Astros, though. Like, everyone on the pitching rotation you feel worse about than you did last year. Everyone in the bullpen you feel worse about than you do last year. I think part of it is just the fact they lost. Like 2 years ago, they didn't lose. Last year, they lost.
Diaz for sure, because remember, there was another catcher on the Astros that they traded at the trade deadline, Corey Lee, right? Or not even that. Hell, I think they traded him in spring training. And people were like, oh, what are they doing?
When did they? No, was that during the season to get Graveman?
I think so. Yes. I forget when it happened.
It was like June, I want to say. It was like before the deadline, but it was in early early to mid June.
Right. There are some people that were mad about that. And then since then, like,
Yeah.
clearly they kept the right guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. July 28th is when
28th,
Draven was
okay.
traded for Corey Lee.
I thought it was earlier. Okay.
I remember there was some pushback about Corey Lee getting traded, and I was like, well, I mean, when Diaz does play, which isn't often, but when Diaz does play, he's pretty damn good.
We were probably at like 100 plate appearances for Diaz and
Yeah.
at that point. But yeah, I mean, for Caserio, because the thing with Caserio having the best 2023 is that like he gets credit for CJ Stroud, who would probably be the second selection of who won 2023.
Right, because we thought
he picked him, and then he picked several other people too.
Correct. I think a lot of people thought Stroud was a dummy because of the S2 stuff. And because he said, I didn't go to school to study, essentially. I came to play football, which is accurate.
Oh, did he drop the Cardale Jones? I didn't come here to play school.
He had a similar to Cardale Jones
Oh,
quote.
no, he was like, I've never been a good test taker, right?
Right, or something like that.
Never been a good test taker.
There was a lot of stuff when it comes to Stroud that had some skeptical, and then the Texans drafted him, and I think a lot of people were like, well, hey, yeah, this is great. But, I mean, I will say that Stroud would definitely be up there. I guess I just had no expectations at the beginning of the year, where with Caserio, you're looking at him, you're like, they literally just had a press conference and left him out there to get crucified by the hard-hitting Houston sports media, which, of course, is not really that hard-hitting.
Yeah, he definitely has had the biggest comeback, I would say.
Hell yeah.
Because he again, like you said, he was very close to being fired.
Right.
Very close to being fired last January. And now they have a game to win and get into the playoffs. He has a franchise quarterback, whether it's the one, I get, like you said, no one thought he was going to be this good, but he has been. We're not sure if Nick Caserio thought that he would be this good.
Someone texted in, unless you really believe the Texans when they said CJ was number one on their board.
I don't, by the way.
I don't either.
I don't. I wouldn't believe anyone that, like, I wouldn't believe, like, I don't even know, like, any draft where the best quarterback didn't go number one, the team who got the best quarterback is always going to be like, he was number one on our board. Like the Ravens, when they picked Lamar Jackson 32nd and they picked someone else ahead of him in the first round, I'm sure they were like, he was our first quarterback on the board.
He might have been, though. He
might have been, but they picked someone else instead of him.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what Bill Polian said. He had like a first-round grade on Tom Brady.
Yes. Yeah.
But they had Peyton Manning. Like, very convenient. Very convenient. Go change another rule after you lose to them in the playoffs, you loser. Anyway,
wait a minute.
What?
No, I
just talking about Bill Polian. He's a whiny baby.
Back to back shows with a drive by on the 2000s Colts. By the way,
that's honestly, we need to keep this streak up. Every single
one more day at least, because this is rivalry.
It is rivalry.
We don't have that in the NFL very often, but this is rivalry.
I mean, it took an epic choke job by the Patriots for the Colts to get their first Super Bowl. The Patriots gave it to them. They donated it to them for that one Super Bowl that they won with Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck as quarterbacks. And it is kind of depressing that Andrew Luck retired and he stayed in Indianapolis. Like, don't you kind of feel bad for him? And then again, he's a simple fella. He doesn't use smartphones. What? I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm just saying he's simple.
It's simple.
He doesn't want to use a simple
life. He lives a simple life. He's
simple.
Not a simple man. He went to Stanford. All right.
You can be a simple man and go to Stanford. Forrest Gump was a simple man and he went to Alabama. Some people say that's a great school. People that went to Alabama.
Yeah, a lot of Gumps say it's a good school.
That's true. How many Gumps do you think married cousins? Do you think that's why Forrest was the way that he was in the movie? Listen, it's a fictional thing. We're just asking the question, and I'm not talking about his mama, but his mama was sleeping with everybody. What? She's trying to pay the rent.
Wasn't his dad in the KKK? Wasn't that the?
I do not know. I don't think it's ever clear who his father is.
Oh no, maybe he was named after someone who was in the KKK.
I
forgot. He
couldn't help himself.
He definitely has KKK connections. Forrest Gump. Good luck ever running for president.
Great point. Canceled.
Never mind. Never mind.
I mean, you know what? You know what would be used against him? It'd be like, oh, Forrest Gump only got to play at Alabama because there wasn't any integration going on, which is actually true. Probably.
True.
Would he have been an All-American?
He was a Vietnam War hero, though.
That's true, but we didn't get to hear his speech. We didn't get to hear his take.